What's up, everyone? Today's episode is brought to you by Tacos y Más, home of the hardcore Mexican food. They take authenticity to a whole nother level. And let me tell you something, El Birriongo is one you definitely have to try. They are conveniently located all over the Inland Empire in Colton, Riverside, Fontana, Corona, and Chino. If you'd like more information, hit them up on their website, tacosmas.com, or follow them on Instagram. Their tag is Tacos Más. Let's go. What's up, my beautiful people? Welcome to Offbeat Podcast. I'm your host, Jorge Ambriz. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We got an amazing episode for you guys. So wherever you find yourself watching this episode, whether it be in your living room or whether it be that car drive on your way to work, maybe you're stuck in morning traffic, afternoon traffic, we welcome you and we thank you. We thank you so much for tuning in on this podcast, man. And we just want to thank you guys for your continuous support, for liking, subscribing, sharing, for keeping in touch with us on social media platforms, man. Thank you guys so much from Offbeat Podcast right here. And today, we have an amazing episode, man. I'm pretty excited. Anytime we have an episode where where we're going to talk about food, I get excited, man. And today we have an amazing person that has agreed to come out on our show right here on Offbeat Podcast. And he's a local right here. He has a business right here local, and they are also expanding. And it's one of my top favorites. And so let's hear it up for Jose, owner of Tacos y Más. Let's go, Jose.
Thank you so much. Honestly, it's an honor. I think it's an honor to be here. Like I said, over the phone. It's the first time doing an actual interview. I've done presentations, but never a one-on-one interview. So who doesn't like talking about themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm ready. I was brainstorming last night. What am I going to talk about? Yeah, because it's exciting, to share your battles, your goals that you have accomplished. I think, and who doesn't like to share that and with the rest of the people and to possibly inspire, like I said yesterday, inspire someone out there that sometimes we need that. I needed it at one point, and I still need it. And I feel like why not share all this, right? This experience and I think it's fun and looking to see what comes out of it.
I think it's gonna be we're gonna have an amazing conversation, but I've also been looking forward to it, man. And you guys have a location right here down the street, and it was the first location, right, for Tacos y Más right here in Colton.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, the first location, that was about 5 years ago. We opened up.
Has it been 5 years? Wow.
5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years. I would say 5 years. Including the process of opening up, which was first time. It was a lot of learning experience, a lot of time. Doing the construction, the permits, all that. It was something, a new experience. So it definitely took a little longer than expected.
I know, entrepreneurship, owning a business, man, it's we hear it over and over again. It's never an easy process. And a lot of people say if it were easy, everybody would do it. Right. And, but that's what's so beautiful. And that's why I love this platform that we're able to bring in local entrepreneurs, local business owners, to let us know how, because the name of our podcast, Offbeat, which is outside of the norm, uncommon, you know what I mean? And I believe that that's what we love to bring. We love to bring business owners, people that, might have had a different way of life. Maybe they had a different perspective, maybe they had different dreams, different goals, but some way, somehow, they ended up in this path of entrepreneurship, becoming a business owner. And so that's what I would love to get into, man. But before we do, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? Where are your parents from? ¿De dónde originaste y todo eso?
Claro. Before that, I want to bring something out. Like right now you're talking about this, and I want to bring up one of my mentors, Terry Refferent. He was my teacher for statistics at Riverside Community College. Right?
Okay.
So he shared some books, when I met him, and next I built a good relationship with him. To this day, he's probably one of my best friends. And he started recommending me books. And one of the books that he recommended, and I was just thinking of that when you were bringing this up, is Jonathan Silverstein Seagull. It's a book, it's super easy to read, but it just brings that up, of being that different person, that being offbeat.
Yeah.
And it talks about a seagull, right? That's different, that wants to challenge the way it's flying. And people were asking, well, why are you doing that for? Why are you being different? Why don't you just flock with us? And kind of, I felt like the connection right now with that, what you brought up. And I think that was something I want to share with you.
All right, that's dope. Heck yeah. When that's definitely look
a little
into
small
that.
book, right?
Yeah.
But it's like it's there. It's like a good one. But as far as for me, I'm first generation Mexican American. Super proud of my generation, my background. Growing up in LA, moved out to the IE when I was 6th grade. Moved out here. Yeah, both of my parents from Jalisco, Guadalajara.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're out there. The story that I think a lot of us share is they migrated out here to better future.
Yeah.
With kids and thankfully they went through that, and this is where we're at now. And I think you always have that. You always have that behind your head. I feel like with you want to do something good for them and make them proud, right?
Yeah.
Make them proud. It's like, all right, I want to do more than you, Dad. I want to show you that it was worth it, right?
Right.
To come out here and and leave everything behind, right?
Yeah.
To come out here and start from zero. And I think that makes me I feel like who I am, that culture and it's definitely something that I cherish.
Yeah, no, it definitely is something beautiful. And I think as I've gotten older, it's something that I've become to value even more. That background of like having Mexican parents that immigrated here. There's such a pride in that. There really is. And I know that growing up in that, it wasn't always easy, to understand. Did you ever go through any of those moments, growing up of, maybe while your parents were pursuing that el sueño americano, was there ever anything that you felt when you were younger that you missed out on or you missed out from them?
You know what? I feel like growing up, we grew up in Maywood, so East LA area, Huntington Park, HP. So it's like, I feel like it's our culture is strong, so it's like you kind of, you always practicing Spanish with people, to this day, I think I speak more Spanish now. And it's like something that you realize it's like, okay, this is our culture, it's still here. It's here locally, it's like, you go, not too long ago, I went to downtown LA and it's like, all, the culture there, you see it, all the products, Mexican products, it's like everywhere you go,
it's like you're like at a tianguis right there.
So it's definitely, I feel like, as far as your question, I think, I don't feel I felt any challenges. But, it's funny. One of the challenges I did feel, we moved back to Mexico for a year.
Okay.
Yeah, for certain, with my mom, and my dad stayed behind for, financial reasons.
Okay.
And I had challenges over there. That's where I was like the outcast now. I was like, wait a minute, I'm not for here. I briefly remember that. And I remember we were like, they kind of get a little bullied or something like that, I think, like at the rancho where we were going to school. And we definitely, we went there for a year and then we came back, but it was like, that's where I felt the challenge. And I was like, oh, you're an outcast. You're not.
That's why I always say that, man. Like, I'm like, I in a funny way, but I know it's something serious too, but in a funny way, kind of what you're bringing out though is that I've always said that our people, we could be very prejudiced against each other. You know what I mean? Especially, and those that feel it the most are people like you, people like me that, we grew up here, we're born here, grew up here most our life. And then when we go over there for the first time, we were just talking about that earlier where, man, like son carrilludos, you know what I mean? Like, we go over there with our Spanish or we're the no sabo kids out there. Our Spanish is always being bashed on, like, ¿Qué dijiste? Like, habla bien. You know?
Exactly. Then none, especially throwing that Spanglish and it's like,
¿Qué? But I've always said that, man, like that, we and it's true, like it kind of reminds me of that scene from the movie Selena, with Selena's dad. He's like, when he's complaining, he's like, man, being Mexican American is tough, you know what I mean? Like, you're not Mexican enough for the Mexicans, and then you're not
American
enough for the American.
Exactly.
So it's true, man.
That's why I think sometimes I would throw out and at one point I was real proud of that, and I'm still I'm proud of that. It's the being a Chicano,
Yeah.
The Chicano, and I think I don't know who, someone's credit for invented that, right? It was I think who is it? Is it Chick Marine, el comedian? I think so.
I'm not too sure, but yeah.
And it's like kind of like he created that term where it's like you kind of okay, that's who we are. We're Chicanos.
Yeah,
we're Chicanos.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's becoming more and more something that I always say it too in previous episodes that we've been able to have when we kind of bring up this conversation is that the culture, man, it's opened up so much for us.
Yeah.
Like we got to be so thankful and grateful for those that paved the way, because there was a time, where it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for, a Chicano or for even a Mexican to be in this country, you know what I mean? But throughout the years, it's become more and more like where it's cool, man. It's the thing, you know what I mean? And I feel like we've planted our feet on the ground now. Like this is like, hey, aquí estamos, you know what I mean? Like this is where we're at. This is our culture. People are embracing our food. Yeah. People are embracing our music. Like music. It's cool to see. I know a lot of people might not be fans of certain artists or certain types of music or genres of music, but it's cool to see like when you get a Mexican artist, collaborate with a Puerto Riqueño or this or an American artist. You know what I mean? And to see the collabs happen, like that's dope. For me, that's tight. Because it's just showing how our culture is growing and how it's becoming more and more, something, accepted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It is. I feel like it's definitely changing, and I think it's real cool. It's cool to see that. It's cool to see that, where it's the food, doesn't like Mexican food, right?
There's nothing like it, man. There's nothing like it. Nothing like it, man.
Yeah. So I think one of the things too that you bring up, and I think this is where when I started, some of the challenge. So my name is Jose Hernandez, right?
Okay.
So it's like super common name, right? Super common, right?
Common first name, common last name.
Yeah, so it's like sometimes, and I remember once I stumbled into a YouTube video about this guy. Like the name I think also was Jose Hernandez. I think it's still on YouTube, and how he had challenges finding a job, because of his name, because it was like yeah. And then he changed it, and he noticed that he did more resumes. And he would get more callbacks, And I was like, and at one point I did that, I actually did some business cards when I used to do sales and marketing, and I, changed my name to sound a little different, just to see what would happen.
Yeah.
But because at the time I feel, and I mean it still goes on, but little by little I think we are becoming part of, the American culture. And, and I think we also have to be proud of that we're we're American. People are born. We're American, Mexican Americans. I think we gotta be proud of that.
100%.
Yeah, and that's what makes this this country or this area beautiful more than anything.
For sure. No, yeah, and I also, when we were talking, I know you mentioned too that you're first generation college graduate, right?
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
So I always knew that I wanted to go to school, right? And I think it was a challenge. It was really a challenge for me. I think I struggled. I graduating high school. I went straight to community college.
Okay.
A local Moreno Valley. It's called Moreno Valley Community College now, which is part of. It was at the time. It was part of RCC, the Riverside Community College. So I went there. I did my my undergrad to transfer, but at the point, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I was working. I was managing a full-time job and going to school part-time. Why? I knew I wanted to do that. I knew something in the back of my head. My parents, hey, you got to go to school. Let's get a escuela. And my dad, especially. Right. So I decided to stick with it. And I was like, eventually I'm going to come up with something that I want to major in. And so I stuck with it. I was like, let me take care of the basic stuff. And eventually, from there, I had a situation where I got on probation. At RCC, they put me on probation. It's like, hey, you're not
academically.
Academic probation. Okay. Yeah, they're like, hey, what's going on? You're getting bad grades. So it's like, all right. So then I told myself, like, okay, are you gonna do this or what? So I decided to, I gotta, work harder, and I gotta do this. I gotta I gotta finish my school, and I gotta, you know, if I want to do this, I gotta stick with it, and eventually that's what I did. I, you know, me puse las pilas, como dicen, y vámonos, le fuimos a you know, focus on school, finish up my it's still working, and finish up my school, and eventually transfer to Cal State San Bernardino to finish up my upper grad classes. So then once I transferred, I you know, decided just to focus on school 100% for 2 years, and just to get that over with, and you know, and you know, get that degree. You know, it's like highly recommended. You know, you have to get, you know.
Yeah.
Can you do it without a degree? Of course, but it's like, why not? Get your degree, you know, get a degree, and trust me, you learn a lot, and especially in business. You know, at one point when I started working, I used to ask that question. I was like, well, I'm learning all this stuff, like I'm not even applying it for work, right?
Yeah.
But then once I became a business owner, you're like, okay. Now it makes sense. Now I'm learning about doing my own accounting. Now I'm doing my marketing. Now I'm doing manage organizational behavior, managing, you know, all that. Now it clicked where it's like, okay.
It starts to make sense.
Yeah, when you're wearing different hats and running a business, and it makes sense. It's like, now, you know, luckily I was never those type of students that will get rid of the books. So textbooks, so I kept them all, and you know, and I still, you know, go through them, skim through them real quick, and see, you know.
What do you feel was the biggest lesson that going to college for you that it taught you?
My biggest lessons, that would be I think networking. You know, I think one of the, and as I said, that's where I met with my good friend Terry. You know, my teacher. That was my teacher. He. I met him, and he, I feel like he, you know, definitely influenced me to, you know, put me on game. You know how they say, you know, put me on game. Like, it's like, he's white, you know, so it's like, you know, like we sometimes need, you know, rub elbows with the, because you know, no es por nada, but you know, they're sometimes a little bit more, you know,
more savvy in certain areas.
So he's super savvy, and he like hit me on it, and I realized, like, you know, this is real important. You know, when you go to school, sometimes we see teachers or like, they're untouchables. At least that's the way I would see it, you know. And it's like, then you realize, like, you know, they're just people. You know, they just chop it up with them, talk to them, and see what you know. You make a good relationship, and learn something from them, and that's when I you know clicked, and I realized, you know what, networking is real important. You know, you know, doing meeting people. You know. Yeah,
that's so. It's good that you touch on that, because I believe the same. I believe that, you know, that's one of the things that we've always talked about with my wife. You know, when it comes to the college education aspect of things, because sometimes there's certain things that we lack, we just don't know that we lack them. You know, or there's things that sometimes. There's just lessons that we're going to learn, and maybe we're not going to understand them at that moment, you know, but like you said earlier, it was something that afterwards, you know, years later, after you started your business, things started to click together, you know. And I think that that's one of the important things about, you know, and I always say that's the difference between education and being educated. You know, someone that can just go and for the education, you know, just for the degree, and the difference between someone that's actually going for the education, you know, because they want to get the resources, they want to learn how to network with people, they want to, you know, grasp the theory of things, you know, and then eventually when they need them, to be able to pull them out, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all, sometimes it's like, I think what a lot of people say, it's like, you know, a lot of the professors, they might not have that business background, you know, but hey, they're sharing with you theories that you could apply, like you said. Eventually you apply them. This is like, you know, this is things that other businesses are using, you know, top corporations are using. And it's like, why not run your small business like a big corporation, you know?
There you go.
Why not do that? You know, I think that's, you know, we got to have that mentality that, you know, let's act like a corporation. Why? Because, you know, corporations, they have their the ways of running things that it's more efficient, better. So it's definitely something that you kind of want to practice as well as a small business owner. Yeah.
No, that's good, really good advice. And I always tell people, because I know I have someone that's close to our family, you know, who he would always like kind of not bash, but, you know, kind of bash, you know, in a way where, you know, he would kind of bash like my cousins and stuff like that. Like, you know, ¿pa qué van a la escuela? You know what I mean? Like, están gastando su tiempo. Like, no necesitas, you don't need a degree to start a business. And there's a lot of people with that mindset. And like you said earlier, it's true. Like, you might not, maybe having a degree isn't for everyone, and I think time has told us now more than ever is, there is a lot of people who have tasted success without a college education, but more importantly though, it's how we look at things, and I always, I would always tell my uncle, he's an uncle of mine, and we would always tell him, I was like, yeah, but okay, you can start a business, but how is that business going to run? That's why a lot of these, businesses, big corporations now, at one point, they were mom and pops, they were mom and pop businesses, but, they had to hire someone, they had to hire someone to come in and be that CEO, or they had to hire someone to be that, marketing director, or, sales director, whatever, because they knew that, there was a block, there was a mental block, in their business, that wasn't going to help them go any further, and so I always say that education, it isn't a waste, it's all how we use it, and I think that, we need to start looking at things like that. It's like, how can we take advantage of the resources we have, not so much pick and choose and be like, nah, that's worthless, I don't need that, because we can't knock everything out. We have to be able to look at things and be able to, and for a lot of people that are maybe stuck, with not knowing what to do, I think that's even a good path for them to go, because if you don't have an idea for a business yet, or you don't have anything really going on, right after high school, and I believe that that's a good path, to start, is just, go to school, because you never know who you might network with. You never know what you might learn that might spark an interest, an idea for you, or anything like that. So I always say, like, man, don't knock, or you don't rule anything out. Just be open, because you never know what you can learn through the experiences you go through, or whatever you choose.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's exactly. Like, I couldn't say it better than that's like dope, man. Yeah, you gotta go and take care of that. Like, why not? You're here, find a way. And it's community college is not that expensive. At the time, I don't know how much it's now, but I know it wasn't that expensive, community college, and transferred. Eventually, I transferred to Cal State, and I think I got a free ride because of my age. I was like, it took me a while to get out of RC at the Riverside Community College, so it's definitely definitely something. But going back to what you said, there's people that are like, oh, you don't need an education, ¿para qué ocupas eso? No. I have friends that some parents were like that, their parents like that, but you don't need it. For instance, one of the mentors that helped me with the start of the restaurant. Yeah. He doesn't have a college education. Yeah. He has high school. Hector, give a shout out to him. And he also has he opened up 5 locations, local taco shops.
Okay.
Yeah, and no education.
Yeah.
No education, and make a real successful guy. No education, but if he had education, would have he been better?
Right.
That's if.
That's the
big if. Yeah. Would he, if he would have more? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. No,
but his kids are going to school now. Like, I talked to his kid actually not too long ago. He did an interview over the phone though. He had to interview entrepreneurs, and he reached out to me. I think he's going right here to Cal State San Bernardino.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So definitely, you don't need it, but it's definitely a tool you could use.
Yeah, definitely.
Make better decisions, make you stronger, learn how to deal with other educated people.
Yeah.
In the city, when you go to the city, most of them have degrees.
Right.
In there, So you want to, be at same playing field, right? Like, why not, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I love that. And I love that we kind of because we didn't really plan on talking about that, but I love how that conversation came out, because again, it's one of those things that, because I know for a lot of young people that might be listening to this, and they might be like, what should I do? And there's that mentality. Go ahead.
No, and then, right now, I was joking around with my wife, by the way, shout out to my wife, right? Aurora. I'll tell you a little bit about her too, right? If you don't mind. Yeah,
no, of course.
It's part of the culture too.
Yeah.
She's actually, So I told her, there's, I listen to corridos, right? Who doesn't nowadays, right? And then, some of those corridos, they throw out that, no, yo no fui a la escuela and all this. And I'm like, all the time, I'm going to make my own corrido and be like, yo sí fui no quería ir a la escuela, pero tuve que ir y quise, it's like,
aquí se estudia.
Yeah, aquí se estudia, hay que estudiar, ¿no? De que, sí, a veces, y mucha música, pues, it's like that, that they should, like, they, and it's like, you know what, go pursue that school, man. Like, don't handle that, And at the same time, try to do other, work or, start a business. And it's definitely, but, it's recommended.
Yeah. I think the right now what came to my mind is, have you ever watched the movie Colombiana?
No.
You haven't watched it? Okay. Well, there's I'm a movie geek, man. I love movies. That's kind of how I kind of detach from reality. I love watching movies, man. And Colombiana, there's a part in that movie. Check it out. There's a part where she basically, I don't want to give too much away, but her family is assassinated in Colombia, and she's able to get away. She comes to the United States, and she comes to go live with one of her uncles, and he's also a hitman. He's a Colombian hitman in Chicago, I believe. And so he's like, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And then straight out, she's like, I want to be a sicaria, like I want to be a hitman, or an assassin, something like that. And then he's just like, okay, like, And so he takes her to register for school, and she gets mad. And afterwards, she's mad, and she stops. And he's like, what? Like, what do you want? Like, what's wrong? And he's like, yo te dije like lo que yo quiero hacer. ¿Por qué me traes aquí? And then so he's like, okay, I'm going to teach her a lesson, So he pulls out his gun. It's broad daylight, He pulls out his gun and he just starts like shooting at a car. Blah, blah, blah. The car crashes and everything. And then he's like, look, like, he's like, look, anyone can do this. Anyone can pull this trigger. Anyone can shoot. Anyone. I'm summarizing, I haven't watched it in a while. He's like, anyone can do that. He's like, but you'll be locked up or you'll be dead fast, like quick. Or you can choose school and they'll teach you things that you won't be able to learn out here. And then so basically the lesson though was that, and then from there, she grows up and everything. And so she becomes a very calculated, very smart, and a very intelligent assassin. So that's what the whole movie is about. So I'm not trying to encourage anyone to become an assassin.
Wait a minute.
But I love that message because it's true. It's like there's things that you might not need, you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't pursue them, or it doesn't mean that you shouldn't take advantage of those things. I think that sometimes we're so easily influenced by what maybe a song says, or maybe by someone who's famous, or maybe they always use that excuse of Bill Gates never finished college, or what is it?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg, he didn't finish. Yeah, but he was smart.
Yeah. He didn't start from zero.
You're living in your basement, bro. Like
He had like parents that are like lawyers or like.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I think Mark, his parents were paying in programming schools since he was like 14, 12, right? So
and bro, you're just
exactly.
You're eating a bologna sandwich in your basement, bro, drinking Kool-Aid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's knowing, and I think that that's very important. Especially for our culture, for our people to understand that, it's being able to know what's in front of us individually. And then being able to make that decision to say, okay, is this the wise choice for me to go? Maybe I don't know what to do. Okay, let me just go down this educational path just so that I can get a guide, just so that I can kind of, dip my feet into the waters and begin to explore new things, and that's why even like sometimes people that go into the military, I think that that's even a good option. We've had vets on the show too, where man, that's where they were able to find purpose. They were able to find, so it's being open to the opportunities that are in front of us, not knocking them, not being easily influenced, by culture tampoco, but being able to make our own decisions. Because that's what it sounds like you did,
Yeah. No, I definitely, I feel like it did influence in the school but what I think, if I could share with you, I think this is where what I could share with you. And I was like yesterday, like I said, I was like rehearsing. I was like thinking of like my path where I ended up, and I kind of share with you, I think with the audience as well.
Yeah, of course,
see who influence someone. Because right now, where you just brought up about finding the purpose, right? Like, as soon as I was done with college, I went out and did at the time, I had multiple jobs. I worked at Bally's, LA Fitness, UPS, several, like maybe 15 different jobs, right? And eventually, after graduating, after going to college, I eventually got an internship at an advertising agency in downtown LA.
Okay.
Yeah, Castells and Asociados. They're in charge of the Hispanic marketing for McDonald's, Southern California Toyota. So I was in the media department.
Oh, nice.
And the way I got that internship was at one of the networking. I went to a networking event an advertising networking event in downtown LA. At some agency called Shy a Day, which I think they used to handle Apple, or they still probably do Apple advertising.
Okay.
So I eventually, went there and I did the advertising. I worked there for like a year, and then from there, that's when I was offered a job at the at Get Buena radio station.
Yeah.
As an account executive, salesperson. Like I mentioned to you yesterday, I was working there and right here in San Bernardino, and right there by Waterman.
Yeah.
Right here. Yeah. It was so I was there. I did that for like about 2 years, but honestly, it's tough. Sales is tough, but it's definitely like a learning experience. Doing sales, it's I was selling radio advertising. So and from there I met a lot of business owners, because who were my clients? Business owners, right? I tried to convince them, hey, let's do advertising. Let me show you how I could get you some results, some new clients, and but in reality, I wasn't fulfilled. 2 years, I was like, man, I know this is a career. I went to school for this, but I don't feel that fulfillment, that purpose, so I was like, so eventually, I got this big client, right? At the time they were doing, it's like phone calling card, right? And I got some fat commission, right? And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But at the time, living with my parents, to this day, my parents, I was there, all my 20s, I lived with them. And not too long, I was still living with them, So I eventually I lost track of.
So after you landed that big client,
big client.
Yeah.
You know what? I did something that I wanted to do for a while, was travel, and I went to Colombia for 3 months on a sabbatical leave.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
nice.
I did. I told my clients, my manager was like, "Are you sure you're gonna come back?" Or I was like, "Yeah, I'm single. I was like, like no bills, no nothing." So I was like, "Yeah, I wanna try this. I wanna, I'll probably come back. Yeah, I'll probably come back." In reality, I think I didn't want to come back. Why did I leave? Because I wasn't happy. I was like kind of like, man, like I'm not feeling this.
Right.
This job, I'm not fulfilled, right? So I went out there, sabbatical, had a great time in Colombia, a lot of traveling. Like I was supposed to go travel to different areas in South America.
Okay.
But I just ended up staying in Colombia. Beautiful culture, man. Beautiful culture.
Yeah. Colombians. Yeah, Colombians are beautiful people.
And
beautiful
they love
people.
Mexicans. They love Mexican. They love they love our music. Yeah, the music. And so I went out there. We Medellin, Bogota, Cartagena. So like great, right? And eventually I ran out of money, right? That fat commission, I was like, I just ran out of it because I was not really on the budget. I met some great guys from people from Monterrey that are also traveling. They're out there for like a couple months, and we linked up. We like traveled together, and it was definitely fun. And eventually, when I ran out of money, I was offered a job when I was out there at a TV station, and thinking I was like, all right, a new fresh start. This is gonna be cool, right? This is gonna be fun in downtown LA. I went, gave it a try, and same feeling, man.
Yeah.
Like I was like, man, like this is cool, but it's like
something's missing.
Something's missing, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel this. I'm not happy. It's.
Yeah.
I wasn't like waking up and I'm like, I gotta go to work. It was more of like, God damn, another day. And it was a cool job. I'm not saying it's not a bad job,
Right.
AC, with tie and suit, like that type of job, an account executive, right? Meetings, professional job, getting to meet cool people, events, it's the entertainment industry, so you have events, but that fulfillment wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I think what it was eventually, for my dad, this is like what I feel like. Oh, this would open up my eyes. So I stopped working there, right? At the TV station.
Okay.
I stopped working there. I started doing my thing as a digital marketing.
Okay.
As a consultant at digital marketing, because when I was working at the radio station, I noticed a lot of local businesses didn't have a digital presence, and this is before social media was so strong right now, and everyone's doing it, right? Developing websites. I started doing websites. I started helping out local restaurants do online ordering. I had a good amount, not big clientele, but enough where I was making good money on a monthly basis, right? And eventually, I did that. I did that for maybe 3 years. The name, the company, Human Connections. I had that name, and I still have it, right? It was Human Connection. Human Connections. I
like that.
that was the future. At the time, I was like, that was the future of marketing, which is now you're doing human connections. You're not marketing to people. You're doing connections, and that's what social media is. You do social media.
Yeah.
You're connecting with people. You're not bombarding them with advertising. You're connecting. That's a big part.
Yeah.
It's more consumers. Us as consumers. I'm a consumer too.
Right.
We have more control now. And that's why I was like, I started that agency.
Yeah.
And I love marketing. I love digital. Like I said earlier, I have my own my camera. I love it, right?
Yeah.
I love it. That's my passion. I really enjoy it. And, that's what I currently do, right? At Tacos y Más, I help out with the marketing as well.
Okay, nice.
And that's one of the hats I wear. And going back a little bit more also, so from my dad's side of the family, the people that stayed, that didn't migrate, they're all entrepreneurs, right? So it's my dad's cousins, right?
Okay.
My dad's cousin, they all stay in Guanajuato, right? That's where they're from my dad's side of the family. They're all entrepreneurs, right? And an uncle, one of his cousins, Jose Luis, real successful person, right? Had a big party, right? It was his birthday party, but it was a reunión de primos type of party, family
reunion type. Yeah.
I went to the party, right? And I was like, oh, damn, that's where that thing comes from. To me, that's what I came to a conclusion that, because, you heard the question, is an entrepreneur born, or is he taught? Does he have that drive that someone has?
Right.
Is that learned, or are you born with that?
Are you born with that?
So what you know what I mean? It's
true. It's a good question, because there's something I believe that entrepreneurship, people that have that entrepreneur spirit, a lot of it, yes, it's learned, but that drive, that inner drive, that inner intuition, that inner gut feeling, I think we're born with it.
We're born with it, right? That's what one of my uncles. So I'm telling you, all these primos at my big corporations, big companies, they're super successful out there and into that. I have primos that are políticos and all that,
wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh, hey, primo, ¿qué onda, primo? Hey, ¿qué onda? And then one of my cousins that had, it's it's my first cousin or second cousin, right? And great guy, Jonathan, right? He took over my uncle's business, right? So anyway, so we linked up again, and I went to this party, and I realized, I was like, wow, aquí soy.
Yeah, you felt I felt that instant connection.
I felt that, and that gave me so much confidence. And then my primo, the primo Jonathan, with him too, we clicked, and I was going back and forth, traveling. Goes, I started helping him out a little bit with his business.
Yeah,
certain things that he needed to do out here. They'll buy maquinarias, they'll do cranes, industrial cranes. That's what the kind of business they're in, and they gave me that confidence. I was like, oh, aquí soy, this is. You need to be around like-minded people, and it's and you realize, sometimes growing up, maybe the people around you are not like-minded like you. And I realized, I was like, oh wow, this is nice. This is
it felt natural for you.
It felt natural. It was like, oh, this is cool. All right, that's where it comes from. That's it. Because I think I wanted to share something with you, that whole drive, right? I remember, and I always tell this to my brother, because my brother, he helps me out. He's my right-hand man now, right? Chris, he's also educated, college graduate from UCR, biotech engineer.
Nice.
Keep that, right? Handling in the restaurant is a bioengineer, right? So I always share a story with them, and I think, and I want to shout out to my primos too, right? And I have a while without talking to them. But growing up with them, I was always younger than them, right? 2-3 years younger than them. And I was always that primo, and I was like, man, eventually I was like, man, maybe I'm being a little enfadoso, you know, because I always be like, hey, primos, let's do something, primo. Let's start a business, bro. Let's get this something going. You know, we would like be, you know, drinking and, you know, doing our things at teenage years, you know, like, so you're like, hey, get all hyped up. Like, we gotta do something. And eventually I'm like, you know what, maybe these guys are like, you know, I'm leaving and they're like, what's up with they call me Pepito, right?
Pepito.
Pepito. What's up, Pepito?
That's what I'm thinking.
Está muy loco, muy activo.
Está muy activado este compa.
Like, we're not trying to think too much, you know. Yeah. But hey, you know what I mean? It was from somewhere. Like, this was like, I'm telling you, it was like 15, 14-year-old. And my primos, it was like, well, like 4 other primos, we always hang out, you know. And it was like, and I'll be the hype man, you know.
Like you want, and I just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, man. It's interesting right now when you're talking about all this. You know, I'm listening, and it's crazy because when we really think about it, a lot of our people, like a lot of our ancestors, our grandparents, if we think about it, they in a big way, you know, a lot of them were entrepreneurs. Like if you think about, like I think about. My grandparents, I think about my great grandparents, my great great grandparents, you know, and when I think about the history back from the rancho and how they would acquire land and you know the way they would acquire land and the way they would run their land, you know, the way, you know, ellos, you know, they would grow their own crops, you know, su propio maíz, frijol, calabaza, lenteja, garbanzo, you know, and they cultivate it, you know, and they had this patience, you know, of like, but everything was on their own terms, you know, and so I really think about like our culture, and I know that a lot of other Hispanic cultures, not just Mexican, but even from other Latin American countries, they have that, and I believe that a lot of us have that, you know, and I think that that's why it's so hard to sometimes feel fulfilled. Not that working for someone else is bad.
No, it's not.
You know, not that working for a company is wrong or it's bad. It's, you know, I believe that there's lessons in that, you know, going back to that again, you know, there's lessons in everything that we do, and there's always good that we can pull out of it. But like just kind of piggybacking off what you're saying is when you have that chip inside, when you have that in you, you know, it's like, it doesn't matter. You can have the best job in the entire world, you know, but if you're under someone else's terms, you know, it's like you're never going to feel that fulfillment.
Exactly. And that's I think, honestly, I feel blessed, man, and I thank God. And you know, that's what I tell my wife. You know, it's like we're blessed, and like to feel fulfilled with what you're doing. You know, have a purpose, and you're like, and enjoying it. You know, you just enjoy it. It's a challenge every day. It's something that I love. You know, waking up excited. You know, to go, of course, there's like up and downs. You know, here and there, like, oh my God. But it's you know, for the most part, it's like enjoyable, you know, being in the position, and it's you know, I think for everyone, it's like if you have that drive, you know, don't give up, and you know, and same thing, like you said, having a job, there's nothing wrong with that. I think, you know, it's important too, you know,
right?
You can have a good, you know, you might not have less stress because it's stressful sometimes to run a business, you know, whereas having a career or job, it might be, you know, once you clock out, you're done,
right?
Know? But yeah, so it's that drive, man. That drive. It's you know, that's the reason. Like, you know, I was thinking of that yesterday, and I said, I shared that with my brother. It's like that, like you said, that chip, right? Like, it's like, you like, have it, and it's like
I think it's la pila.
La pila, la pila, la kilo.
Las
You're
pilas,
like, hey, so then it's like, so I always had that dream, man. I was like, you know, I was like, I want to do something, and eventually, you know, I ended up in this for meeting, you know, one of my clients. I got introduced to the restaurant business when I was working at Get Buena, and I met this great guy, Hector, and you know, super guy, right?
Yeah.
And he's the one that kind of, you know, guided me a little bit. You know? Didn't hold my hand or anything, and like, okay, here, do this. No, he just, hey, Hector,
but he kind of embraced you you kind of embraced him as a mentor.
I was helping him out with his business. I was helping him with the marketing, and I was like, you know, maybe I could do this. Let me try this out.
And he was an owner of some taquerias
to this day. Yeah, so on Tijuana's Tacos.
Oh yeah. They have Fontana, Ontario.
Yeah. His daughter's running it now, Brenda. But yeah, he super freaking stand-up guy, man. Yeah. And it's sometimes you need those people around your life to run into. And that's what I feel like that was great. You know, if I wouldn't have a job, I wouldn't have met those people.
Exactly.
You know, for instance, another person I met that, you know, going back to talking to my primos. I love my primos. I love seeing primos. You know, when you haven't seen them for a long time, you see them. It's like you what is it? You end up where you left off, right?
Yeah,
like you keep
it's
up.
beautiful. Yeah,
so I have a while without seeing them, but you know, I've eventually, when I started working at Bally's, I met this guy named Manny, and not too long ago I ran into him. I had a while without talking to him.
Okay.
This guy named Manny that and I ran into him at a Riverside location, right?
Okay.
So Manny, he's the first person I met. I think it was like 18, 19, right, when I met this guy Manny, that was like-minded. You know, he was a like-minded person. What I mean like-minded was like, you know, trying to get something done, you know, trying to, you know, make something happen, right? This guy named Manny, and he's the one that I remember he hit me to the Rich Dad Poor Dad, the book.
Okay,
yeah. And I was like, he gave to him, I was like, oh man, this is good, Manny. I was like, yeah, I'm finally met someone that's like like-minded, and it was like fun, you know. So I started helping him out with a business that he was running. He was kind of like the manager, but he was running like his own business. It was at the time, remember when they had those human directionals on the street and the singular wireless, they had like people in the street.
They
had a bunch of locations. So I used to help him out, and I remember his goal. He was really driven as well, and I remember I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, there's people out there like that. You know, that are like-minded, that want to, you know, make it happen. You know?
Yeah.
So it's definitely, and from there, you know, I think. You start realizing like, okay, there's more people out there like that you know, and back then I feel like it was a little different too, because it was not like social media. Now it's easier to connect with other people, you know. It's so easier. It's like that's I think what, like everything, you know, everything, you know, has good and bad, and you know, there's a lot of bad things in social media, but at the same time there's a lot of good things, because you can connect with people and like it, you know, they're like-minded,
definitely,
or follow people, or you know, share their, you know, listen to them, and I think definitely.
Yeah, no, and that's it. It really is, and I like how you brought that up. That it was through the job, you know, that you began to make new connections, and I think again that's an important lesson for a lot of young people. You know, a lot of people in general to understand that, you know, sometimes you have to get yourself out there. You know, you can't just sit back and wait. You know, that I think that's the biggest mistake that sometimes we make. You know, is that we just sit back and wait. You know, we wait for that dream to hit us. We wait for, you know, because like you said, you just knew that you wanted to start something. Yeah. You just knew that there was a drive in you. You didn't know what it was. You didn't wake up and be like, oh, it's a taqueria. Yeah. You know, you weren't born with it. You know, it was, but you know, and entrepreneurship is like that. It's not so much something that, you know, you're just, oh, okay, this is what I'm destined to, you know, I'm destined to open this up. Yeah. You know, it's more of a drive to do something, you know, to build something of your own, you know, to build something for your future, for everything. But a lot of times it's not going to come just sitting back.
It's not.
You know, it's being active, you know, it's being active in that moment. It's working that job wherever you find yourself. But I think the biggest thing is the mentality, you know, is when you start to connect with like-minded people. And I think that that's the mistake that a lot of people make sometimes in the working field, is that, you know, because I'm sure you've seen it, you know, like and if you look back and think about jobs that you've worked, I know that I've seen it where, you know, there's always people in the break room or in the lunchroom, and you always have those groups, you know, like los flojos, los huevones, you know what I mean? Like the ones that, you know, do the least amount of work, or the ones that are always criticizing, or the ones that are always, you know, talking about everyone, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's always those groups, you know, and there's people, you know, that the ones that take shortcuts, you know, the ones that take long breaks, the ones that, you know, take long lunches, you know what I mean? I've done it before. I'm not going to lie, you know?
Yeah, we all done it. I've done it too.
You know what I'm saying? But it's so easy to gravitate, you know what I mean, like towards those people, you know, and it's not to bash, you know, but when you have something in you that causes you to dream more, you have to be careful, you know. And I think this is a message for a lot of people out there, that if you find yourself at a warehouse job, if you find yourself at that restaurant, if you find yourself wherever you find yourself, you know, it doesn't mean that you have to stay there, you know, but be careful who you gravitate to, you know, and start gravitating towards like-minded people, you know, and I know that sometimes, you know, I would be that person. I know for myself, I would be that person sometimes in the lunchroom by myself, you know, or in that break room by myself, you know, because I didn't want to just gravitate towards negative. You know, I knew what I was there for, you know, and so I think that's a very important message that we can give to our people, you know, is like, hey, just because you are where you're at, you know, even in the construction industry, you know, it's like, hey, gente just doing carrilla, you know what I mean, instead of learning a new skill, you know, or so many stories that we've heard of people that, you know, they say, man, I you know, I would work, you know what I mean, during my lunch, you know, I would work during my break, you know, or I would take my breaks and my lunch to learn a new skill, you know, to read a new book or something. You know, I think that that's what we have to gravitate towards.
Exactly. I think, 100% with that.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it's real important.
So let's talk about, man. So you knew you had this desire. You start connecting with like-minded people. I you know, I can imagine that fire just kept burning inside of you. So how did it finally happen when you finally said, let's go for tacos y más? How did that start?
You know what?
Man?
And I think part of that, you know, actually thought of that also last night, you know, like telling you, I was like brainstorming when I was driving.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, you don't have to agree with this, you know, but, you know, especially because, you know, she's in front of you right now. But a greatest man motivation is a woman, you know, and I met my beautiful wife, and, you know, she motivated me to you know, show her that, you know,
que sí se puede.
Yeah. And, you know, effort, you know, I rolled the dice, and I was like, I had my savings, which was like, you know, I had like maybe like 30, 40 grand saved up, right, from, you know, years, right? I saved up money. And one of that was that, you know, that you know, I want to, that, you know, the woman drives us, man. It's reality, especially if you like, you know, you love her, you feeling her.
Yeah,
you know,
no, I agree with that. I mean, I would say like if I wouldn't agree to, but I agree with it 100%.
And you know, I met my wife on a flight. It's funny, I met my wife going on a flight to Guanajuato to go visit my primo, right? And we like had the same, you know, sitting in the same row.
Okay,
right?
all right.
And it's like nice. Little love story, right? It's like, hey, we met there.
It's like a movie right there.
No, and
bro.
check this out. We always I like, you know, remembering that. And a guy was sitting between us, and he got up and left before the flight took off.
Oh, okay.
So I'm now sitting next to this like beautiful woman, right? Like she was sitting on the window, and I'm like, hey, like. What's up? Like,
you were like,
I was like, no, but I was like, yeah, because you know, I was like, oh, hey, and then we started talking. She's from TJ, she's from Tijuana.
Okay,
so
okay.
You know, I love that. I love how like I'm still connected to the culture. Mexican, my wife, you know, actually just right now, not too long ago, we just got approved from we had to go to Ciudad Juarez.
Okay.
And yeah, finally, like a couple of weeks ago, she came down finally to the house that we have out here. And
nice, congratulations,
man. I
man.
want to say like a week ago. Yeah, she's down here, and
that's what's up.
And you know, I think she was my drive. You know, that little push. You know, more than things, that little. You know, you already have that, and sometimes you need that little push, and sometimes a woman could do that to you. And I feel like
100%.
You know, I had all these ideas. You know, I was running my internet marketing, but then you know, I had this other idea of, you know, running a full-time, you know, a business like this, like more of a restaurant. Because when I was doing the marketing, it was more of I was self-employed, right? I was a freelance, a consultant, and you know, and I knew I understand the business aspects, because school and then helping out and working and helping out my buddy that was at his restaurant. I kind of had an idea how the restaurant business works, right? So I eventually said, you know what, I can hacerle, you know, and eventually looking around, started looking for locations, and we came into I stumbled into this place in Colton.
The Colton spot, I
was like, it's now or never, you know. Oh, and then my primo, you know, he was the one in Mexico, was like, hey, you know, you have to, he loaned me some, his plan was like, he was loan me some money as well, right? Because he wanted to partner up, but then he had some financial problems out there with like certain clients, you know, why not? So, you know, I was like, well, you know, if the primo no puede, pues, you know, let me figure it out. You know, I started putting my own money And I was like, you know what, let's get this going. You know, let's make it happen. Let's do some great tacos. You know, great food, and you know, and that's the ultimate goal too. It's like I really enjoy. It's a fun the restaurant. It's fun. You know, it's you know, I always say like, why do you think you see celebrities running business restaurants? It's not that they need more money, right? It's like unless maybe it is, but I think part of that is, you know, the food industry is it's fun. It's a fun industry.
I can see that. I can totally see that because it is something that keeps people preoccupied.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, it is something that is constantly challenging you.
Exactly.
You know, there's constantly something. But it's also, so my question though is, why the restaurant though? Because I hear what you're saying right now, but at the same time, you know, like why a restaurant though? Because that was a big risk.
So I was doing, I did this. I was, at the time I was living in Paris, and I had a whiteboard with ideas.
Okay.
And I rated each idea of like, what were the chances of that, you know? And the restaurant was like, you know, I gave it like a star, 1 to 5 or something like that. And I think restaurant was like 2 stars, you know. And I had other like my media marketing company. I always had an idea, and you know, if anyone wants to steal this idea, you know, and I think it will be great. You know, if you're good at selling, I always had an idea of putting together a marketing team in TJ, right? Renting out an office, putting a good creative people, and me handling the sales over here, right? I really wanted to do that, and I felt like that was less of a risk of an investment, right? Because it's, you know, more talent driven,
right?
I mean, payroll and paying payroll, but not like this. All right, restaurants, yeah, it's a lot of money up front, yeah.
Right.
And that's where I wanted. I have that idea. I had like several ideas. I think I have a picture of it somewhere in that whiteboard. And so I had the restaurant. So then going back to that party, a family party, I ran into my primo that I hadn't seen for like 15 years. And I was like, ¿qué onda, primo? Y bien borracho at that time, you know, bien pura pedo, you know, like, was drinking.
Yeah.
Le vas a hacer, ¿y tú qué haces allá? Pues, no, pues ya, no tengo, a mí, hago esto de digital marketing, and I helped them out, build a website for them, and I like, you know, it turns out he's a compadre now. He's a compadre, godfather for my daughter. But and that also kind of gave me that push. He's like, hey, güey, pues dale, güey, dale fuerte, no tengas miedo. Güey.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then I added the you know, the wife thing, and so it's like I was like, you know, because he's like, hey, I'll back you up with the restaurant.
Yeah.
I was like, a restaurant, bro. Like, fuck. Like, to me, the idea was like 2 stars, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you could do it. But I was like, all right. And I was like, all right, let's go, bro.
Yeah.
Let's go. Y luego ya, I was like, let's do it. And so tú te quieres asociar, tú pones el dinero, okay. Pero como te digo, like, you know, eventually, like, the money didn't off, but I was like, go back. Let's keep going. Vámonos, hay que seguirle, ¿no?
Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. I don't, and I'm sorry if I pause you a little bit here and there because it's like good, but see, like right there at that moment, like, yeah, you know, you're like, yeah, you know, you put the money, you know, we'll get this, you know, and then when he pulled out, like for a lot of people that could have been discouraging.
Yeah.
You know,
it's discouraging, and you know, I was like, but I was just like, you know what, let's get this done. You know, ¿qué va a pasar? You know, and at the time, you know, of course, I fell in love, and you know, we got married, and it was like, wait, I don't have no money to get married. Like, I was like, let me go get a loan at Arrowhead Bank, right? I was like, maybe they could do a loaner, and no, we can't. I was like, all right, and eventually I found a way to get money, and you know, my dad loaned me some money, and made it happen to get married, but yeah, discouraged. You know, kind of discouraged. But I was like, you know what? We all have our reasons. Like, but I needed that push. You know, to you know, that I got from the primo. You know, that hey, dale. You know, I was like, all right, cool, and it was like, vamos. And
I think that's even an important lesson for us to learn. Is a lot of times, you know, we think that the people that motivate us to do something, a lot of times we think they're going to stay on the journey with us, you know, and a lot of times I believe that, you know, God allows people like that in our life, whether it be family, whether it be friends, to really give us that encouraging push. You know, maybe they're not going to, you know, walk the journey with us. Maybe they're not even going to start the journey with us, but that's okay. You know, I think at the end of the day, we have to just be able to see that, you know what, for that moment, you know, they were that motivation we needed. They were that push that we needed.
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, that was at that moment I needed that push. Because even before that, you know, it was, I remember I used to drive around. I was like, oh, where's a good spot for a restaurant? But it was just looking around, and just thinking, all right, maybe one day we'll make it happen, with a taco shop. But we, that just needed that push. I ran into him at this party, and it was like,
Vámonos.
Yeah, vámonos. Yeah, I was like, vámonos recio, and I think it was definitely it definitely worth it. It's definitely.
So when you come up with this Colton location, man, what happened from there? Because I know that Colton location, man. It's I remember the history of it a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like I remember I know even we have a friend. Well, he passed away already, but he had an aunt, that tried to open up something at that location. I think it was like a normal Mexican food restaurant, normal typical platillos. And then I know there was like even like a tamaleria. Yeah, there was a tamaleria that tried to open up. And I think before the other Mexican restaurant, like it was also like just a normal taqueria. And so, yeah, man. So when you came across this location, man, and I'm not sure if did you look up the history of that building and all that stuff?
I did. Eventually, I did go to the city just to get an idea of who had been there.
Yeah.
And I saw the history and some of the people that they're there.
Yeah.
Like, and with him, he was a pupusería. He's salvadoreño. Yeah, era salvadoreño el señor. And his wife was running it. He was like a trucker or something like that. And he was selling pupusas and tacos too. I think they were selling tacos as well. And but I found the location and I was like, you know what, let's go at it. I had a good feeling about it. Good visibility.
Yeah,
the parking lot is tough, but
the visibility.
The parking lot is.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things, man. That like when because I think every spot that has been there, like we've tried it, but I think that it was one of the things, and maybe you can kind of speak into this right now, is everything that would open there always lacked the uniqueness. There was that spot always, because if you go through Colton, just Mount Vernon alone, there was quite a few taquerias, and I think at that time there were even more, a lot of, so it was like there was nothing unique that was being offered in these restaurants, and even the pupuseria, it wasn't anything unique, that was being offered, so when you guys stepped in, you know what I mean? Like you guys came with something unique.
Yeah.
So you want to kind of talk about that?
Yeah. So I think I don't want to take a credit for it, but I think in today's world there's no original ideas.
Right.
So I kind of like piggybacked off my mentor restaurant concept.
Yeah.
Which was having your specialty tacos, the creativity of that, where it's like they're a little different, they're unique to the location, where you play around with the food, you fuse, which is it's all Mexican ingredients, but it just you give it a little twist,
right?
And it's like and that's what we came with. Where it's like, you know what, we didn't want to do I mean, it's tradition. I heard like comments and whatever. Sometimes you hear comments online and it's like, we have some people say like, oh, well, it's not traditional Mexican. I was like, I kind of go to Mexico. That's kind of like the stuff you're getting now. Like Mexico's totally different.
Yeah.
I go to TJ all the every week, and it's like.
It's innovative.
The food, the industry is like.
You go to Guadalajara.
It's
you
different.
Go to Morelia.
It's not what people think Mexican
Mexico.
Food is.
I think that, and I think it's funny because I think the less cultured people are the ones that say that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because honestly, like it's true, man. Like if you're traveling and you're going to Mexico constantly, man, they're like even the pizza over there, like they're coming up with some like it's different. Las hamburguesas are different. You know what I mean? Like there's like so much creativity over there. I think we need to give more credit to our raza because like honestly, like you go over there, man, like just a simple hot dog can be like, damn, this
exactly.
is good.
Like ¿cómo se llama? Los hot dogs embarazados, where they put a hot dog inside a hot dog.
Las hamburguesas de milanesa. Have you ever had a de milanesa?
Yeah.
Oh, man, bro.
Yeah. I'm telling you, my wife is a big foodie, so like every time we'll go out and we were dating, it was like a lot of TJ. I know it like 4 years going back to TJ, so it's like I used to go back before I met my wife, but now it's like every week and we like explore the food out there. And what I heard is like Team TJ is considered one of the like the top spots in like the Mexican cuisine out in Mexico.
Oh yeah. No, I believe that 100%.
But so going back to it was just writing off for like an idea from someone else and try to make it my own and our own, make it better and in focusing on the quality and going back to educating myself, learning more about the cooking, about what's important about when you're cooking, like for me, like what I learned, it's salt. It's like a big thing about cooking, like I read a book, it's called Salt, Acid, and Fat and Heat, something like that. And and it goes back to my educational background. It's like, what do you do? You educate yourself first, you got to figure out. So I started reading and, for instance, that book taught me like, hey, those are the necessities of having good food and, and that's what I kind of build on then and try making the product better.
Yeah, I love that, man. I like that you're sharing that because that's super key, man. Is I think not a lot of people understand, you know what I mean? Like that it's part of, if you want whatever it is that you're doing, in this situation, the restaurant industry, you want it, you didn't want to just open something y luego fracasar.
Yeah.
You wanted to open something that was going to be appealing. And so you took that next step to educate yourself, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of times como raza that we lack, sometimes is doing that extra work. I think we're good at working hard. Like, we're good at getting into the kitchen, we're good at knocking on doors, we're good at passing out flyers, we're good at, hablando, what I mean, en saboreando la comida y todo. But I think at the same time, we have to kind of use that energy sometimes to take a step back and educate ourselves in that industry that we want to go into.
Yeah, understand all of it, everything, how the heat that affects the food, like making sure it's and I think one of the biggest challenges I feel like, and it's dealing with the team, and dealing with the team. That's right there where it's like that's ongoing education.
Yeah,
right there. Yeah.
So when you first opened, man, what were you educated yourself obviously in what you wanted to do and the flavors and the food that you wanted to bring, the concept, the idea that you wanted to bring, the uniqueness that you wanted to bring, the creativity that you wanted to bring. So now that you're putting all these things together, you know what I mean? Like in the beginning stage, was it difficult?
It was difficult. I think it's nothing easy. But I think one thing also that helped me out is my mom. She's always been a stay-home mom, and she's always got down in the food, right? And I was like, so that helped me, give me that little bit more of like confidence too, of like, I know how food tastes good, and then adding to that, traveling to Mexico, trying food, going with someone local like my wife, or when I used to go to Guanajuato with my primo, like, oh, vente pa acá, vamos a ir acá, pero no, también bien. Like for instance, you've probably seen a lot of like. Right now, I've seen the big change in Mexican restaurants, right? At the time, like I want to say like 6 years ago?
Yeah.
I used to go with my primo out there. He would take me to all these like restaurants that wasn't going on over here, like as far as the Mexican restaurants.
Yeah.
For instance, I would never see chicharrón de ribeye. And out there, they take me to this place. Oh, for instance, one of the places that I would go all the time when I used to go to Guanajuato, San Miguel de Allende. There like some top restaurants there, Mexican restaurants. A different ball game out there. And I feel like that, and then with my mom, and then just traveling. I think that gave me the confidence. I was like, I know what's good. El paladar, no tener un buen paladar. This is good. Okay, this is what I like.
Yeah.
I think people are gonna like this too. And I think that, for instance, the birria. The birria is our birria is kind of somewhat with the recipe from La Barca, Jalisco, which my mom, that's where she's from. She's, La Barca, Jalisco is known for like top birria.
Top birria.
So it's we kind of got that recipe from my mom, and I was like, let me do this, and then from there we kind of try to make it better.
Yeah.
Improve. Always keep improving.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And you guys definitely did, man.
Yeah.
Like that was. And that was really before, what we were talking about earlier, the birria wave.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, because, that was like, what, 5-6 years ago,
Yeah,
right?
and-
And we even talked about that, like, where there wasn't a lot of, I know that, from living here in the IE, like, there wasn't really a spot where you could go and like, unos tacos de birria,
Yeah,
sabrosos,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
good. It was usually just a typical las tortillas,
Yeah.
la carne deshebrada, and then the salsa, cilantro.
Más tradicional.
It was un taco tradicional, which is good, but not when you guys brought in, and that's one of my favorites, el birriongo.
El birriongo, yeah.
Like that's what really, I think that's what made us fall in love with the restaurant, bro.
yeah.
Was, the first time we're like, they're like, hey, there's this, birria spot, they call them birriongos.
Yeah.
Let's go, let's go try them, and so you guys brought something, again, it's not nothing, like you said, it's nothing that's what you said earlier, it's not that it's original, right? But the creativity, the craftiness that you guys put, the love, the attention, the details that you guys put behind this, and it was something that wasn't really here,
Locally,
especially here in Colton. It wasn't something that you could go, like, more like a lot of the birria spots, they were more traditional, like el plato, su birria, frijoles,
Caldito,
cilantro, el caldito, things like that. But nothing, like that, man. So you guys really did bring something that creativity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That newness. And that was the cool thing, that it was really, now there's a big birria wave.
Yeah, there is.
There's a big birria wave. Like, they're doing all kinds of things with birria.
Yeah. The birria ramen,
Yeah.
birria. No, like, there's a bunch of stuff out there now with the birria, and it's but yeah, it's definitely something I feel like that those items, I think, especially the birria one, like, it just it's the number one seller, and it still is like the top seller.
Yeah.
Because it is. Yeah, it is good.
It is, bro.
Like, talking
it is.
about it, I'm like,
and it's,
I'm like, I want to go eat one right now when I get to.
and the thing is that it's not like, because even like a lot of places, like they call them quesabirrias.
The quesabirria, that's what
Las
they are.
quesabirrias. A lot of places, they're small. They're just like the normal size tortilla or even the small tortilla. They got a little bit of queso and then the birria. But you guys, man, got the monster, los birriongos, and they just, the tender meat, the flavor, like everything is just las cebollas curtidas, like, man, and la salsa and aceite, what I mean? Like, it just gives it the perfect combination, man. Dip it in that, in el consomé, man, and let's go.
Yeah. Exactly, and it's definitely. I think for us the challenge is always being consistent. I think the food game is.
Talk about that.
Yeah, the consistency. It's a challenge thing that it's one of the biggest challenges, because remember, you're dealing with the taquero could influence how the taco comes out. Not just like, okay, someone makes the birria, but then the taquero, maybe he overcooks it or leaves it too long in the steam table, or the tortilla does it too crunchy, or kind of starts burnt, or not too crunchy. It doesn't have the crunch.
Yeah.
And so it's like you always got to be on top of that, and I think right now that's to me, that's like one of my priorities is having standard operating procedures and just being on top of it. Why? Because I want, say you go next week, it's just, as good, and then maybe a couple weeks later it's good. Like, I the last thing I want to hear is like, bro, I went like a couple days yesterday, and I don't know, I was off.
Yeah.
That's like, to me, that's like one of the biggest fears. It's like no, like, what do you mean it's off? Like, why? Like, hey, ¿qué pasó? Like, no, and I'm still involved in that, like, where it's like right away, like, I respond to and I know that people are like, don't read reviews, but no, I respond to them. But why? Because I care. I still want to, I'm okay with that challenge of that customer doing that complaint or whatever. But it's like, we're working on it, and we want to make sure it's always in the food industry. We want to have always consistency, but it's a challenge. And you could ask anyone, and I think anyone in the food industry and in the restaurant industry, the consistency is because, like, maybe like like big, like a batch or something like that, like those people that sell like packaged consumer products.
Right.
You know, you do big batches. They're more controlled. They have more portions. They have,
Right.
you know, like Del Real, you know, the Del Real foods, you know.
Yeah.
You know, they're packaging and they probably could control quality a little bit.
Right.
But then this for us, that becomes a challenge. And you know, and yeah, we kind of.
Yeah. Well, that's even like the big difference between a lot of like, you know, these type of restaurants, you know, compared to even franchise like McDonald's and things like that, because a lot of their stuff does come prepackaged, you know, and they do a good job of setting standards, you know, of operations and, you know, cooking time and, you know, like, and all that stuff. And I think that that's where I kind of like what you said earlier, and you back it up with what you do is, you know, you're thinking, you know, outside the box. You're thinking bigger than just a mom and pop, you know, you're thinking, how can I, because I think that really is, you know, and I'm glad that you answered that, because that is one of the things that I see when it comes to a lot of restaurants. I'm like, man, like the ones that are able to keep it consistent, you know.
Yeah.
I look at, I don't know if you've ever tried it, man. A restaurant that blows me away all the time it's out in Vegas. It's called Mi Lindo Michoacan. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Well, if you ever go, man, check it out, bro. They have like 3-4 locations right now. But I remember the first location they opened out in the east side of Vegas. And, you know, my dad being from Michoacan, you know, he's like, almost, you know, and back then, you know, that it was you know, it really was como se dice, it was a luxury, you know what I mean, to go out to eat, you know, like, so, you know, he invited us to go. And so we all got ready, we went, and man, I remember like their burrito de carne asada, the first time. Bomb. Like they make it so different, you know, lo bañan en una salsa verde. La carne asada, it's tiernita, like no fat, no nervio, nothing. And then they put this, you know, queso fresco on top. It just melts on it. Like really good, really good. Well, that restaurant opened when I was like maybe 7 years old, probably 6 or 7 years old. So we're talking like, you know, 30 years ago. Well, to this day, every time I go back to Vegas, babe, that's one of the spots that we always stop at, you know, Mi Lindo Michoacan. And I still order el burrito de carne asada. And you know what, bro? It's the same.
The same.
The consistency, like the temperature, la tortilla hecho a mano, la salsita verde, el queso desabrido, la carne bien tierna, sin gordo, sin nervio. And it's like, wow, like that, for me, like those type of things blow me away more. It's like, yes, the flavor of the food, but what blows me away is the mentality behind it.
Yeah.
You know, is to be able to like, wow, like to have these owners or managers, whatever, you know, 30 plus years later, and they're still running it in the same way, you know, their food quality is still, you know, so I'm glad that you bring that up, you know, and because I think that's gotta be a big challenge for you guys, man.
It is. That's probably one of the biggest challenges besides the team. The people, you know, we're all challenged. People, we're challenged.
Did that affect you guys too, man? Because I know that a lot of restaurants took hits and like their people, their personnel, right? Like finding good workers
during like COVID, maybe.
Yeah. During COVID, and then after COVID, it's I have a few friends too that are restaurant owners, and that's been one of the biggest things. Like, man, to find good, consistent people.
You know what? I think for us, it hasn't been a challenge. And we kept a lot of people been with us for you know, for several years.
Okay, nice.
And I think that's one of the things. You know, sometimes people tell me some of the teams, like the employees team, they, you know, hey, you're too nice, Jose. Like, and you know, but I was like, you know what? I want to be nice because I want to keep people on board. You know, I don't want to be dealing not finding talent. You know, like, and I feel like, yeah, it's all right. That's who I am. You know, I want to be nice. I want to treat people nice. Because they tell me like, oh, they'll take advantage of you. You know, es muy bueno. No van a, you know, do the job right. Like, but I was like, you know what? You know, it's all right. Like, you know, I'd rather them, you know, they feel good and they, you know, not like this boss that's always on top of them and not letting them work. You know, but I think thankfully we did struggle a little bit, which was I think last year. But other than that, we had a good team.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Good team, and a lot of people are still around. You know, in Colton, we still have people that've been with us already like 4 years.
Nice. That's good.
The majority of the team is like, they're veterans.
That's good. That's good to hear, man. I'm glad that it's going that way for you guys. You know, because and you can tell, in a way, now that you mentioned that, you can tell because again, every time we go, it's honestly like fingers crossed, ¿verdad? Pero we haven't had a bad experience, with the food, like it always hits the spot.
No,
man.
and we care. Yeah, no, we care, man. And it's like, and you know what? One thing too, I feel like one of the things that we've done, and I think we took hit for it, but one thing we pushed a lot the flavor, of the food, as to sometimes we would sometimes go overboard with the flavor, being the salting of the food. But it's like, one thing I like, what, if you're not pushing the limit, man, you're not going to get that. Because, once you have like salting the food, that perfect salting, the food that's the key, man. Ask any chef. Ask any I'm not a professional chef, but ask any chef.
Yeah, well, I always watch Gordon Ramsay. The Gordon Ramsay show, and he's big on salt.
And you got to use a certain type of salt, the one that's the better salt, the kosher salt. Those are the ones that you want to use, and it's like, and I think we're like, I used to do that where it's like, all right, let's maybe put a little bit more, put a little bit more, para que tenga más sazón, and here and there we were sometimes like, I think we kind of went overboard. Like, all right, let's take that back, pull that back, like let's do it again, like fresh batch. But it's definitely a challenge, and it's definitely a learning experience to keep everything consistency. For instance, the carnitas. You being from Michoacan, carnitas, like, I think one week I was like, man, I'm not happy with this carnitas. Now I ask like people around me, hey, ¿cómo estás? Pues, a lot of people no te dan instruction, no te dan like, it's like, no, pues es nomás échale allí coca.
It's hard.
Y nomás échale naranjas y ya, ¿no? Like, my dad, like, le salían buenas, ¿no? Mi papá, no, nomás échale tu coca. I was like, nah. I was like, but how? Like, what? Like, what's the temperature? What are you? So, thankfully, I think we live in an era where it's like, you jump on YouTube, jump on Google, look up research and
Quiroga,
Quiroga
carnitas, man. It's, and that's, I feel you on that, man. And I like, my hat's off, because honestly, dude, like me, like I've tried a lot of carnitas in my life, being in Michoacan, even living over there.
Carnitas are bomb.
And and the thing is, man, like I can tell, like me, like that's why, like you can even ask my wife, like I don't order carnitas from a lot of places. I really don't, because
people dry them up.
They dry them up, and like, or they're borderline. They're kind of like they kind of have the texture como like birria, and it's como a vapor,
No.
Or they're too crunchy, or they're too hard, or they're too dry, and man, like I'm used to, man, I remember allá en las carreras in Michoacán, man, like they used to make the best batches in those. I feel like those were the best places, man. They would hook it up, man. Like you would buy, with 10-15 pesos, man. They would, give you like 3-4 tortillas on a plate, and then just dump,
dude, it's because carnitas is
juicy.
Yeah, carnitas are like, there's this place in Paris that they have one of the real good carnitas. But it's and then going back to the wanting to improve that quality always, and educating yourself. And I was like, let me teach myself, let me learn this. And I was even gonna go take some classes from some guy in like some chef in Mexico, but eventually I was like, I got it. I got it. I was like, all right. And looking through YouTube, you stumble into like, I stumbled into some videos, some like lady, I forgot even the word. It was some like lady, and it all came down to like temperature, controlling your temperatures. It's in cooking. And like I said, my background is not like I'm a chef or anything like that, but like I didn't go to school, culinary school or anything like that, but it's like, I just want to have good product, good food, and I feel like the carnitas is
that's a big challenge, man. So that's why hats off, man, that you guys you guys got this down, and even all the, like I said, man, like the consistency that you guys have, with your meats, with your tacos, the different style, the specialty tacos and all that, I really admire it, and to be able to see you guys, go from this location in Colton to How many locations do you guys have
5
now?
right now. We have 5
So you
locations.
got 5 locations.
Yeah,
Look at that. So you guys are in Colton,
Riverside, Corona, Fontana, and Chino.
Fontana, and Chino. Look at man. See, that's awesome, man. And so what kind of like what did the success of the first one just kind of impulse you, to want to do that?
Yeah, it's definitely. I think in this business, it's you gotta have a couple locations. I think it's having one location is not that it's not enough.
Yeah.
But it's like you need more than one location.
Yeah.
And then once you get it, you want to.
Yeah. And is it because I know, is it true what they say that there's profit, the restaurant, it's a profitable business, right? It can be, but is it because those profit margins aren't as big, or is it more long term? Yeah. So that's why having multiple locations to generate those, profits, is that why?
Exactly. That's one of the, especially for the smaller, for us, it's it's a quick service, right? What they call it, QSR, right? Quick service restaurant. Maybe with a big location, you could probably, generate good money, but with our smaller locations, the idea is to have multiple ones. Because and it depends too. You could be I work in my business too. I do, like I said, I do the marketing. Mm-hmm. I love getting in the line too, and helping out in the line, in the cook line, cashiering as well, repairs. I'm like, you know what? I'll fix it right here, right now. I got my tools. I always carry my tools just in case. I was like, it's gonna take me 10 minutes, 13, or 30 minutes. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And I think when having a location, you either running a restaurant, it's like say I could decide and be like, you know what, I'm gonna work here full time. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna work at this location, whatever, 60 hours a week, on top of the regular profit. So now you're talking about you're making, extra.
Yeah.
So one location could be enough if you doing it, but to me, it's it's more about managing the restaurants.
Yeah.
And having good people in there, having a good manager.
Yeah.
And me just popping in there and helping them out. I make sure quality's being, consistency.
Yeah.
And because you could have one location. Look at there's a couple of taquerias. Like the one that are here and the other one in Colton. It seems like they only have one location, but I notice the owners are always working there.
Oh, are you talking of the one the Central?
La Central,
yeah.
Yeah, La Central. They always work. I know them. I don't know them firsthand, but I know that when I pass by there, I know they're there in the kitchen.
Yeah,
I see them. I know who they are, and they're working, and they're keeping more profit, but they're working. What's it saying? They're working in their business. Not, I feel to all respects, I don't know, but I feel it's more of working on your business, to improve it.
Yeah.
The procedures, that corporate style, right? You know what I mean?
And is that something that you have in mind, your goal, is to eventually franchise?
No, a lot of people bring that up, but I think right now we just keeping it private, keeping the taco shops private. And right now it's more than anything is just because once you start running, then there's a lot of learning. Like, for instance, right now, a lot of learning is corporate structures, taxes, all that stuff that sometimes in the beginning you don't realize how important those things are, Because when you're starting out, no, I want freaking bomb food, that's what's important. We don't have bomb food, we're not going to sell nothing. We're not going to worry about taxes. We're not going to worry about... So, but now you're okay, well, now it's let's learn about this. Let's get our taxes right. Because we weren't doing them right.
Yeah.
So now they're, hey, hello, guys, I'm here, the tax man, So it's oh, but I thought, so it's so now it's you're go back and try to reorder.
I like that you brought that up too, because I think that's part of the education, it's part of educating ourselves and getting around other like-minded people, or even people that are doing things better than us. Because I feel like that in itself, I like that aspect of businesses, of the back end of the businesses, which is, like you said, the legal structure of the business, understanding, the legal structure, understanding the tax structure of the business, and I think that's very important, because it helps I look at it like it's kind of like the mind, of the business. If it's like our bodies, if our mind is right, then we're gonna be able to do things. We're gonna be able to be active. We're gonna be able to. But when our mind is all cluttered and it's full of worry and full of clutter and this, like, ni nos queremos levantar.
Yeah, no. I have had some of those days where I was like, where, you're like, oh man, like there's all these things. There's not, and I think once you have everything organized, like I think I don't know if this is what you had in mind, but like your books, your accounting books. And it's all beautifully organized, and you're like, this is nice. You know where all the money's going. Yeah. You know how much you're getting paid. Because I think a lot of owners, they do that where, and I've done it too, where it's like, you're just like, you use how they say, you use your business as like a piggy bank. No, okay, I need more. And then next thing you know, it's like, you're going to pay taxes on that. Yeah. So it's like, but now when you keep it more structured, then you don't got to worry about that, because the taxes will come back around. So it's like you want to get that straight, and I think that's one of my. I think sometimes when you're starting, like I have a buddy that's starting a business right now. Like I was frescas out in Texas, and that's what I tell him. I was like, yeah, man, focus on your and I know he's not thinking of that, not because I wasn't thinking of that when you're starting out. You're like, I want to make some good aguas. Like friends of him is. I want to make good aguas frescas, but I was like, bro, eventually, why not start now? Yeah. Why not start working on your books now? Yeah. Keeping it on track. Because later on, once you get all cluttered, like you said, it's going to be tougher. You literally got to, like, lock yourself in the room and, like, organize. Yeah.
No, and it's true, man. And I think it's always better. And I think that, like, one thing that I always tell people, because I help do taxes during tax season, but I don't go into like C Corps or S Corps or anything like that. I always, refer people out, when it comes to those, because it's just another level of, but I always tell people that are self-employed or that are single members, like they have an LLC, but they're basically just themselves. They're basically self-employed, but they have an LLC attached to their business. But their tax structure, I always tell them, like, don't, I get it. We all want to try to save money. We all try to save money, but one of the things I always tell them is, like, especially the ones that have a family or have kids, I'm like, look, like, I know those tax refunds, those tax credits, they sound appealing, and they are appealing, but don't focus on that if you're trying to build your business, right now that, use them as to take care of your tax liability, right now, because I think it's breaking the mentality, it's breaking the mentality of, I'm going to underreport or I'm going to try to save money on these taxes. And of course there's legal ways to save on taxes, but there's nothing better than having the peace of mind, of having your books straight, of having everything in order. Because even if it's just a simple business, even if it's just something small, even if you're just freelancing and self-employed, like I always tell them, like, start reporting that, start reporting it, and it's not that I'm a tax IRS advocate, you know what I mean? But it's a discipline, it's a mentality that, man, eventually, we start to teach ourselves how to keep track, like, is this business being profitable?
Exactly.
Am I really being profitable? Am I really making money? Or what do I need to cut back on? What do I need to adjust? And the more we get into that habit, I believe that we're going to be able to set ourselves up, because, man, like what you guys are doing, man, is, from one location, man, right here, and then now 5 locations, dude, that's awesome, bro. Like, that really is, man. That really, really is. Like, hats off to you, bro.
Thank
like,
you,
that's dope, man.
Yeah, thank you. And like I said, like right now, running 5, it's like, it's, right now that's the biggest topic right now. Besides the other topics that we always have, like, quality, and is that, right? You just brought up, your books, and starting from, no matter, I think my recommendation is, like, no matter how small you are, start practicing that. Get QuickBooks. That's what I told my buddy. Get a membership with, like, whatever that QuickBooks software. Yeah. Start putting in your things there. I bought this, that, and and have your write-offs.
And it links it to your bank account. Like now. That's what like nowadays, man. Like that's another thing I always tell people too is like open up a business bank account.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
all you need is to have your fictitious business name. Have it registered with your county, and
you know what? And I think bringing this up, everyone would like, I'm just thinking that like everyone like, who wants to pay their shit, but hey, you have to.
Yeah.
And there's benefits that come with it. Like for instance, we recently invested on some machinery to help on our production. If we were underreporting, we probably wouldn't have gotten approved.
Exactly.
To get those.
Yeah.
It was like a total of like $70,000.
Yeah.
Of equipment that we wanted to buy.
Yeah.
I didn't have that laying around. We're like, oh, here you go, $70,000.
Yeah.
But hey, we financed it, based on our business credit, and made it easier, opened up more doors.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm glad you touched on that, man, because that's one of the things that I always try to get people to see. Is that like, man, you're missing out, or you're bombarding yourself with your own personal credit, or you're doing all of this, when there's benefits, to reporting. And I think where we were able to see it the most was during COVID. A lot of people that weren't reporting like their self-employed income or their small business income, or they weren't even registered as a small business, they were just doing them as side hustles, and I've always heard people say like, oh, I don't make enough, I don't make enough to report. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like if you make, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but if you make $20, man, like report it. What I mean? Like, I mean, it's, and I know it's, estoy siendo exagerado. You know what I mean? I know that your side hustle can probably bring you in, a couple $100s or a couple $1,000s throughout the year. There's nothing wrong with you reporting it, and during COVID, we were able to see a lot of people, I remember a lot of people were able to get, the PPP loans.
Yeah, exactly.
And those things were forgiven.
Yeah, and those are unfortunately for us, we're like barely getting started.
Yeah.
But I'm like, look, that's a perfect example. If you're running a business where you're keeping everything off the books, those government programs that come up out of nowhere, hey, you're not going to be able to take advantage. And they're like, I've seen there's like public information, and you see who people are getting, and you're forgiven. Yeah.
And even the ERC credits, the employee retention credits. Man, I recently helped some people kind of gather their paperwork together for those, and it was like, man, like so many businesses that because they were on their books, they were on the record, they were, they had a track record, and even unemployment, when people weren't able to be self-employed, the people that were able to get unemployment, because of their self-employed income that they were reported, but a lot of people that didn't report, what I mean? Like they were kind of like, well, can you show us proof of your income?
No,
it's like, no, I don't have anything. Can you show me your bank accounts? Like, no, I don't, it's all cash.
I can show you the mattress.
You know what I mean? Like,
colchon or the
box, and a lot of, and a lot of people got in trouble, a lot of people, because I know that for a while, unemployment was just kind of like, it was kind of an honor system. Yeah. It's like, there people were saying they were self-employed and they were making $30,000 a year. But then eventually, like, I don't know if you heard about it, but a lot of people got letters afterwards. Like after COVID happened and everything, the unemployment, California sent letters to everyone saying, hey, we need proof of that you were working, prior to COVID, during 2019 or the beginning of 2020. And a lot of people that weren't able to produce anything, what happened is like all right, well, pay us back.
Pay it back, yeah.
And
that would like lingered around you, man. That's what those stuff like that. It's like
So I'm glad that we kind of tapped on that, because it's like you can't just have 5 locations, just by nothing. It's obviously because of the discipline that you've been able to have in running your first business, your first location. And then, practicing that, and then eventually venturing into these other 5 locations, man, and I know that the challenges now are a lot different for you. You know what I mean? But I'm glad that we brought that up, because I think I feel like that's where a lot of young entrepreneurs, even ourselves, we sometimes miss. We miss that. We get caught up in wanting to make the business. We get caught up in the marketing and the and the networking and social media and all this, that we forget. We forget the infrastructure. We forget the legalities.
Yeah. Like eventually, I think one thing is eventually you know, for me, you know, you're running your business and you're like, oh, I'll do that eventually. I'll do that eventually.
Procrastination.
Yeah, I'll do that eventually. Eventually it turns into a couple of years.
Yeah.
You know? Like quick.
Nos dicen que los hombres de mañana.
Yeah, los hombres de mañana. Like, I'll do that later.
Mañana.
Like, for instance, that happened to us with the legal structure, you know, where it's like, I'll do that later. And it's like, next, you know, later is already a year or two.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, as far as like being, you know, having your proper legal structure. So that's why not start from the start, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes like for me it was like, oh, the money thing, you know, but it's not even that expensive to incorporate or do some legal structure. It's like it's a little it's not that much, you know.
Yeah. It's like it's like an investment for the long haul.
Exactly. And less worries. Yeah.
Yeah. 7 how long have we been?
An hour and 40 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Man, it's been good, man. Yeah, so no, but I really thank you so much, man. Like honestly, like for being able to come and sit down with us, man. I think we got so many nuggets that I believe is going to inspire a lot of young entrepreneurs. You know, I believe right now we're in a culture. You know, we're in a culture of young entrepreneurs. You know, and it's beautiful to see. You know, but that's why I love to bring people like you on this platform. You know, because you know, I always say, you know, I thank God for the Grant Cardones. We thank God for like the Harmozis and these big CEO billionaires, you know, like that's awesome. I mean, but we need people that we can actually relate to sometimes,
with. Yeah.
You know, and to be able to see someone, you know, same, you know, Mexican American, you know what I mean? You know, padres inmigrantes, you know what I mean? And to be able to see your journey, you know what I mean? And your motivation and to be able to hear how you listen to your intuition. I've got the mic right here. I always forget. You know, for you to have listened to your intuition, for you to have listened to that and to make that jump, you know what I mean? To entrepreneurship, to start this and to now see the success in the, you know, 5 locations that you guys are experiencing now. It's encouraging. Yeah. It's motivating. And, but before we close out, man, like, I don't know if you want to like look at the camera and, you know, maybe say some last words of advice, you know, to maybe someone that might find themselves like you know, maybe at that job and maybe there's something that's unfulfilled in them.
Yeah, I think for what I would want to hear is, you know, wherever you're working is always do your best. You know, always do your best because you never know where you're going to end up. For instance, my first job was at Farmer Boys. You know, first job at 17-year-old after high school was at Farmer Boys. And after that, you know, I had jobs where wearing a suit, you know, at the gym. Yeah. But I turned around and ended up at a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, industry, like a quick service, well, not fast food, a quick service restaurant.
Yeah.
That was my first job as a cook.
Wow.
Yeah. So you never know. And I think that's important, you know, whenever you're working, you got to pay attention to those details and learn from that, from those different organizations you're working at and learn. And you're definitely going to learn, you know, learn how they run their line, learn how they do meetings, all that. I feel like it's something really important and, you know, just give it your all. And I think definitely as far as a Latino, I think Latinos right now are like I think we're like one of the top entrepreneurs going on. Like a lot of people opening up businesses, the Latinos. Not too long ago, I remember I read an article and, you know, that's definitely, we're out there making it happen, you know, and I think, you know, definitely we're out there, you know, anyone, you know, want to reach out to me, you know, for any advice, I'm always open for that. Yeah. As you can see, you know, I responded to him. I was like, oh, this is cool.
I was like, dude, I was hoping, I'm like, man, I don't know who's going to respond, but here it goes, you know, and when I sent you that message.
Yeah, and, you know, reach out. I think we're always willing to help, you know, anyone out there. Yeah. I think that's, you know, there's a lot of people out there willing to help.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I feel like I'm one of them that, you know, if someone ever reach out to me for any advice or anything, you know, I'll be available.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. And we need more of that.
Yeah.
We need more of that. And we're seeing a lot more of that. Yeah, so that's what's awesome about what the time that we're living. It really is an exciting time. It's challenging, but we're really seeing, you know, a network of people, of Hispanic, Latino entrepreneurs, you know, that are rising up and that are not afraid to collaborate.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot less hate. You know, there's still hate. There's still hate out there. There's still, you know, like you said earlier, the rude comments sometimes, the bad comments, the bad reviews. Like I think it's part of the package, you know. But we have to really venture out, man, and get around like-minded people.
Yeah.
You know, get around. I love that part that we talked about earlier is gravitating towards like-minded people. I think that's so important because there's, you know, it's like the saying, you know, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. You know, y es muy cierto. It's true. Like, you know, if all we're doing is hanging out with people that don't want to go anywhere, that don't want to do anything for their own life, you know, then, you know, we're next in that same lineup. Or we can start venturing and start networking and start, you know, and I think that's one of the things that we need to kind of get back to, you know, is social media is cool. Like you said, it's cool. Like, it's good to have social media. We're able to network. We're able to engage with our audience, with different people. But there's nothing like the human touch. You know, there's nothing like a phone call.
Yeah.
There's nothing like being able to go
person.
and, hey, how's it going? Are you the owner of this? Oh, man, nice to meet you, man. You know, I'm so-and-so. You know, I think that's one of the things that we can't lose, you know, even with AI coming up, even with all these different things, you know, the human touch.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one thing I remember. One of my professor, one of the guys I brought up.
Yeah,
he's like, every time after an interview, he's like, "Oh, send them a thank you letter,
written
thank you letter." Yeah. And I used to do that, and it worked. When I was a salesperson, I used to do that, and being genuine, you know, genuine about it, like not being fake, you know, doing it from your heart, like, you know, and I feel like that's definitely. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah,
no, I feel it because I know I've done those sarcastic thank yous, you know.
Yeah, like thank you, like here, give me that cell.
I know that I've done it.
I done that.
Guilty.
Yeah, I've done that. I remember I sent a gift card. I got returned to me back. I was like, I was all mad. I was like, I'm like, sorry, I cannot accept it. It was like when at the time it was a marketing guy for El Super.
Oh, okay. Was it over a certain amount?
It was like $50.
Oh, that's probably why.
Yeah, I was like, sorry, and he returned. I was like, man,
yeah, because there's like the kickback laws.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I think there's like a limit.
But I was trying to get his attention as a salesperson.
Yeah.
You know? But now, like going back to, I think, you know, I know it's over, right? Or, but I think that in sales, I think it's challenging, but you learn a lot about how to interact, you know, that professional world, that face-to-face, like meeting. Like, that's what I used to do. I was like, go meet people, you know, go meet business owners, you know, like try to get out there. Like, it was professional selling.
Yeah.
You know, it was not like just trying to sell someone over the phone. No, it's like you really had something that you want to offer them. So you get out there in person and interact with them in person, you know.
Yeah.
Not like just by the texting or.
Yeah, that's easy because it's like you're not on the.
But it works too.
Yeah,
though,
it does.
A mixture of everything.
It does. Yeah, that's true. That's the good thing is we have so many resources now, you know, and let's take advantage of them. Let's take advantage of them. But Jose, thank you so much, man.
No, thank you, man.
Thank you for the wealth of knowledge. I hope this motivates someone. I hope this encourages someone. If you're out there and you're thinking about what to do next, or, you know, you find yourself maybe stuck, you know, maybe you find yourself like Jose, you know, at a job, and maybe it's a good job, you know, but you find yourself frustrated knowing that there's more that you want to do. There's more that you can do, you know. Well, you know, here, man, you have a story, you have an inspiration right here, man, that's letting you know, man, that if he could do it, you know, then we can do it too. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to leave all his information. If you haven't gone to go try his tacos at Tacos y Más, man, go and order the Birriongo. You got to try the Birriongo con el consomé, and right there with the cebollitas and the salsa de aceite. Shh, man, I'm getting hungry right now, bro. So, but yeah, man, tune in. Don't forget to, if you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel. It helps us. It helps our visibility. Also share it with someone that's on the entrepreneur journey. Share it with them. We always leave a comment also, man. We always love to engage, and make sure to follow us on social media. I'll have all the links right there on the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Peace out. This was Offbeat Podcast. Let's go.
Nice, bro.